Okay, let's start with the cascading style sheets. So here, this is CSS session. So let's see. So now we are going to talk about what is CSS and why CSS. And when we're starting with the introduction part, so the development of the browser-based web application, we are using three main technologies in the client side. So we are using HTML to develop the content. So that's what we can see. And CSS we are using to decorate that content, what we can see in the user interface. And here the JavaScript. So for the processing part, we are using the JavaScript. So in the earlier session, we talked about the HTML. Now we are going to talk about CSS. So here you can see these two pictures. So this will be the HTML in the web. Actually, the skeleton is the HTML, and once we add the CSS, we can get a perfect view. Okay, so that means for the HTML web page, we are going to add some styles to the HTML page. So those styles we are calling as CSS, cascading style sheet. So advantages of using CSS, it will reduce HTML formatting tags. So as an example, in earlier session for the practical exercise in HTML, so to send some content, we use center tag. So if we're using the CSS, we can use those style, the center. So that means we can remove that HTML tag. So once we're using the CSS, we can reduce HTML formatting tags. Then easy to modify. Actually, that means so other than modifying the tags, we can modify the style only. So it will easy to modify. Once you get used to this CSS, you will understand that. And save a lot of work and time. So if we can modify easily, so it will save work and time and faster loading than loading the HTML tag. But once we use CSS, that means once we add some styles rather than using HTML formatting tags, it will load faster. So if you see this example, this will be without CSS. That means I will just the HTML page. So here, once we add some styles to the web page, it will look like this. Okay. And here, now we're going to talk about the CSS statements. So here, this is the main thing. So here we are going to talk about the selector declaration, so the properties and the values. So here, this is how we are giving the style in basically. So here, this one, H1 is the selector. So the selector points the HTML element, what we want to style. Which element we want to style is the selector. You can specify that, which tag we want to style. Then we are giving this declaration part. To give the declaration part, you need to give curly braces. So within that, we are providing the declaration. So in the declaration block, it will contain some declaration. So here you can see this is one declaration and here another declaration. So that means one style and here another style. So actually basically in here, H1 means header 1 in the heading section. In this header 1 HTML element, we are going to add a color blue. So now we are going to change the color of the header 1 into blue. And the next declaration, font size, we are changing into 12 pixels. So those are the two declaration part. Here, this will be the property and this will be the value. So the properties, it already defined in earlier. So we can use defined one and here the values. You can give whatever you want. If you want to change the color, you need to use this color property and the color you want, and for the font size as well, right? So you can change the value. So when we are separating the declarations, so that means if we are giving rather than 2 or more or 1 or more, we need to separate by semicolon. Here you can see semicolon. Once we give the declaration, you need to give the semicolon. That's a must. In each declaration, include the CSS property name and the value. Here you can see the property and the value. It's separated with a colon, not a semicolon, it is colon. Within the declaration, we have the colon, and once you finish it, you need to give a semicolon. And for the CSS declaration, always ends with a semicolon. Here you can see. So basically what you need to remember, once we give a declaration, you need to give the semicolon. That's a must. So then if it is one declaration, that also end of the declaration, you need to give the semicolon. Okay. So here you can see the selector points to HTML element you want to style. Here the H1. Then the declaration block contains one or more declaration. Here we have 2. And it's separated with the semicolons. Then each declaration includes a CSS property name and a value separated with a colon. And CSS declaration always ends with a semicolon. And declaration blocks are surrounded by curly braces. Alright, so here curly braces. So this is the main thing in the styling. Select the properties and the value. So you need to remember we need these curly braces, then the semicolons and the colon. Okay, so here an example. So if you are giving a style for the body tag, you can use body keyword here. That means the tag, that is the selector, and which property we want to change, that is background color, and what is the value, that is yellow. So here we have the H1 text. Now we are going to change the heading 1. The color will be purple and the text aligned to center. Okay. So let me, 1 second. It should be actually center. Yeah, this is what I mentioned. Yeah. This should be center. And the font family, we are changing in the font family in the paragraph, and here the font size. Okay, so this should be center. Okay, so here you can see selectors in red color, properties are in blue color, and the values in brown color. So basically, we are giving a selector, then the curly braces, then the declarations. So within the declaration, we have a property and the value, and we are separating those with the colon. And end of the declaration, we need to give a semicolon, right? So this is the main thing. So keep it in your mind. Okay, let's see some formatting categories. So here are some formatting categories: positioning, size, alignment, font, text, color, background, border. So those kind of things. So these are some categories. So rather than this, you will find some categories later. So here we have an activity. Find the available CSS rules under the following categories: positioning, size, alignment, font, and text, color, background, and the border. So I will send you the answer for this one later. So here, positioning, we can go through with the position, then top right, bottom left. Then we can provide the Z index. So here, I already gave the description as well. What will be the thing we'll do with these categories, do these properties. Here for the size, width, height, max height, mean width, mean height. Then if we talk about the alignment, text align, we can align it to left, center, right, justify. Then for the vertical align also. Then for the font family, We can give a font size, font weight. If it is font weight, we can use normal, bold, bolder, lighter. So those kind of things. Then line height, text declaration. For the text declaration, you can use underline, overline, line through. So those kind of things. Then text transform. That means we can change it into uppercase, lowercase, capitalize, those things. And if we talk about the color, background, border, so here you can give color, then background color, border. Within the border, we can give like border width, then border style, border color, those are the things. Then for the border radius, box shadow, opacity. So those kind of things we can give. Okay, so here the sample thing in this positioning, size, alignment, font text, and color background border. All right, let's see. Okay, back to the slides. So here how we can use CSS. So we can use CSS using three types: inline, internal sheets, and the external sheet. So these are the main things. So if we talk about inline, defined with the style attribute. So when we are giving the style in inline, that means within the tag, within that relevant element, if we are giving the style, we are using style attribute, style property. So in the style attribute, we are giving the CSS statement. So this will be the example. You can use any tag within the tag. Actually, we are using the opening tag. We are giving the style. So within that, we can use the style attribute, and within that, we can pass the CSS statements. So that is inline. So as an example, you can see here, if you are giving a style which one, you can use this one. And here we are using style attribute. Here we are passing the declaration with the property and the value. And here for the paragraph, here we are passing two declaration, two styles, color and the font family. Okay. So here we're asking for a question. H1, that means header 1. We have a header called my timetable. So we are applying those CSS rules to this element. So these are the rules: text align center, then the color, font family. So, and the font size. If you are giving the font family like this, actually, this is a font family list. So if you are giving like this rather than giving one font, that means first we are checking whether we have this first font. If we don't have that one, we are checking for this other than this. Likewise, we are checking the font list. So within some browsers or within some machines, we may have these, we will have these fonts, or maybe not. Maybe we have, but maybe not. So that's why we are giving a font family list. So we are checking one by one. So in the order, right? So let's see. Yeah, let's do that exercise. Okay, so let's create a new file. So I'm going to open the Notepad++. So within that, first we need to give the declaration. That means, first of all, let's change the language to HTML. And let's give the declaration. So the top type, the HTML tag, and the class HTML tag. And within the HTML tag, we need to give the head tag, closing head tag as well. And within that, I'm going to give a title. So let's say question mark. Closing title. Then after the head tag, I'm going to give the body tag. Closing body tag. Within that, sorry. Let's give H1 my time table. So let's save it. So I'm going to give, let's say, questions. Set in the text. Various questions. Yeah. Now let's open and see. So here we are getting the header as my timetable. Now let's add the style. So once you are giving the styles, we need to give the style attribute if it is inline. And we need to open quotation, and within that we can give the styles. So the first one, text line into center. Text align into center. The next one, color, this color. Color, column, hash 00006. Then font family. Font family, first one. Rahoma, Geneva, and save. And the last style, font size. Alright, so these are the styles we are going to add. So save the file and save. Here you can see it changed the color, alignment, then here we can see the font change and the size of the header. All right. Yes. Okay, let's see. Here the sample. So here more readable one. So we gave like this, but if we give the style like this, it will be more readable. Let's say, so in here, rather than giving like this, you can give like this. Okay. Save it and see. Nothing changed. But this one more readable than the previous one. That means this one. Then this, it will more readable. So you can give this one in another line as well, like this. All right. Nothing changed, but more readable. You can read the code easily, right? Okay, let's see the next one. So why not inline CSS? So when we are using inline CSS, it's difficult to modify. That is, in the tag itself, we are giving the style. So difficult to modify. But if we use internal style sheet, so solution for the inline CSS difficulty, we can use internal style sheet. Okay, so internal style sheet we are going to add within the head section of the HTML document, and we are using style element, that means style tag. Earlier we used style attribute, now we are going to use style tag within head section actually, right? Let's see. So how to write it? So actually within the head section, we can open up the style tag, and within that we can give the style statements. So earlier I already told you in here, see, like this you can give it. Can you select curly braces, then the declarations, okay? Okay, so we use selectors to access the content. So the selectors we can give with the give by element, by ID, or a by class. So by element, in the sense we can give the tag name and the CSS statements. If you're using ID, you need to give the ID name. Before that, you need to give the hash. If you're giving the style by class, you need to give dot and the class name. So I will show you how to do this. So these are the three types we can give. So if we talk about the by element, so let's say this is the tag. Here we have an anchor tag that we can go to www.icbt.lk site. Once we click on this, visit ICBT text. So now we are going to add a style to this anchor tag using by element option. So the by element option, if you are giving, you need to use this tag name. That means A here, curly braces we need to open. Within that we can give declarations, right? But you need to include that one within the style tag, and the style tag should be included in the head tag, right? That is by element. Let's give that one and see. So in here, first of all, let's give anchor tag. www.icbt.ok. I'm going to give the target as well. Using this target, we can open up another tab for the link. So let's say visit ICBT. So let's add a style for this tag. Let's give it. Within the head tag, we need to open style tag. Yes. How we can give is, first we need to give the anchor tag, and within curly braces we need to give our style, right? Like this. Let's give it. Within that color, Let's save it. And here you can see we have a text. So let's see the anchor tag first. Without giving this, I'm going to remove it and save it and see. So this is the one, default one. You can just go to the site. But if we give this style and save, you will get this one. It changed the color of the link into red, right? That's the thing. Let's see the other parts. Okay, the next one, by ID. Once we are giving the style by ID, first of all, you need to give the ID attribute to the element. So if, let's say, if we are giving the style for the paragraph, you need to give a unique ID for the paragraph like this. Here, using ID attribute, you need to give a unique. ID should be unique, right? So this main is unique to this my paragraph, right? So, and the next thing is once we are giving styles for this paragraph, you need to give the style within style tag that is in the head section. You need to give this hash sign and the ID name. Then within curly braces, you can give the declarations, right? Okay, let's give that one as well. Let's say P my paragraph. Let's see the site first. Here we have the paragraph. Now we are going to add a style. So before that, we need to give the ID. Let's give the ID as paragraph main. Then we need to add a style for that. So here you can give, let's say, hash para main. Then we need to open curly braces. Within that, you can give the style. So what is the style? Color hash F00. And give the color hash F00. Save it and see. Here you can see it changed the color, right? So that is by ID, right? Okay, so here you can see. Okay, I will give another example with this exercise. So if we give like this, so let's say this one is the paragraph one, and I'm going to give another paragraph without giving ID. My paragraph, say 2, and another one as well. My paragraph. Let's save it and see. Here, the other two paragraphs color didn't change because we gave an ID and we gave the style only for this ID, right? Only for this ID. Without giving P here, we specify the ID, right? So that's why for the color of the my paragraph 1 is changed. The other remains same, right? That is the thing. Then by class. So if we are giving this one, you can say we are using class attribute. Earlier we used ID attribute. Now we are going to use class attribute for the element, right? So if you are giving like that, so ID should be unique to that element, but class you can use in multiple elements. You can use the same class into multiple elements, okay? So once we are giving the style for the class, so that means here in this example, you can see here we have paragraph and a link. So for the paragraph also, the class name is the main font, and for the anchor also we have a main font. So we are going to add the style for this main font class. So for if we are giving the style for the class, this main font, we need to give the dot, then you are giving the class. And within curly braces, we can give declarations, right? Okay, let's give it and see. Let's add a paragraph. Let's say my paragraph. Oh, it should be true. Now let's add an paragraph. Link Okay, now we are going to give the class name for both elements. So I'm giving class main font, and for this one as well, class main. Now we are going to add some styles. Before that, let's see the output. Here we have a paragraph and the link. Here you can see here the link normally in the default one is blue color, but it's red because we add the color to anchor tag here. That's why, right? We get the anchor tag color. That means if you are giving like this, in the whole page, if we have the several anchor tags, this style apply for all the anchor tags because we gave the element name. But if you're giving ID or a class, it will specify to those things, right? Now let's add a style. So let's say, yeah, the font family and the font size. Okay. So here I'm going to specify it with the dot. The class name is main font. Within curly braces, font family, sans serif, and the font size 32 pixels. Here we go. 12 pixels. 12 pixels. So we can save it and see. Here you can see it changed the font family and the size of the font. But here the colors remain same. Let's see if we give a color to here as well. Let's say we are giving color as green. Let's see what will happen. Here now you can see it green. Earlier we gave like this. Once we didn't give the color to the last style, it will give the red one to the anchor tag because we gave the anchor tag style color, right? Here we change it into green. If we give this one later, so I'm going to cut this from here and paste it in here. Let's see what will happen. It's remains same. Why is that? Because maybe this anchor tag applied to every anchor tag, but here we specify with specify this last anchor tag with this main font class. So maybe if it is maybe this style in here or here, but the thing is remains same, right? Okay, so that the thing, that is internal style sheet by class. Here the example, you can go through with this as well. Here you can see, yeah, shall we give this one as well? I'm going to copy this one. And let's try to save it. Try to type it paragraph and 2 anchor tags. Let's add another anchor tag. Here I'm going to give class called sub CBT2, right? And let's give some style for sub font as well. Sub font. I'm going to change the font size into 30 pixels and text align into 7. Let's see the output. Let's give a break tag as well, otherwise it will be difficult to see. Here, it changed the font size, but the color is same because we gave the style only for these two. We changed the color only for these two, but we didn't give that color property for this one. We gave a different properties for this sub, right? Let's see the other parts. Okay, the external one. Why external? So if we are giving external style sheet, so the external style sheet means we are giving the styles in a different file. So earlier we gave all the things in the HTML page, HTML file. But when we are using external style sheet, we are using a different file for that. So once we are using a different file, it will be easy to modify. It will not affect for the current tags. We can easily modify and uniform formatting in the style, and we can design themes. Then also the external style sheet faster than inline and the internal as well, right? So CS is coded coded in an external file. The file extension is .css. So we need to then use that .css. The code in the file starts with this line at char set UTF-8. You need to give this line and you can go through with the styles. So as an example, you need to give this char set UTF-8, and here if you want you can give comments, and here you can use the styles. You can give styles. So within the internal styles also we gave it like this, but it is inside the style tag. But here we are not using any tags. We are just giving the styles like this, right? So how to link the external CSS file with the web page? So we are writing the styles in a different file rather than giving it in the web page. So we need to link that CSS file into our web page. So to do that, we are using link tag, link element, which is inside the head tag, right? Like this. We need to link it like this. Using link tag, we need to specify the style sheet, and here we need to give the path of the sheet. Here an example, if the things in the HTML external style sheet, we need to link it, right? Here you can see the styles in the CSS file, right? Let's see an example for that. So I'm going to copy these styles and I'm going to create a new file. Let's change the language into CSS. Here it is. And add char set UTF-8 UTF-8, and we can give the styles. So copy and paste. Right? So these are the styles. Right? So, okay. These are the styles. So you can give commands also like this. Let's say CSS file. All right. So these are the styles. So I'm going to save this one in the desktop. Let's say styles. Okay, now we need to link this file into our HTML page. So for that one, so I'm going to remove this style tag and I'm going to give the link. So within that, we need to specify this one is the style sheet. And we need to specify the style sheet as well in here. styles.css. So save the file and nothing changed, but remember we gave the styles not in the style tag, we gave it in here, right? Nothing changed in the output because we already styled it using the style one also. So if we remove this one, let's save that one first. If we remove this line and see the output, here, only this one we'll see because we gave it in the inline. We didn't remove this style. The other styles removed. But if we gave that line, that means once we link the style sheet, you will see these styles, right? That's the thing. Yes, okay. Now let's go through with the advanced selectors. So the pseudo elements. So a CSS pseudo element we are using to style specified parts of an element. Like we can style the first line or a specific line of an element, or else we can insert content before or after the content of an element, or else we can use mouse point. So that means if the mouse meet that element, what will happen? So those kind of things we can add. So that is advanced selectors. So earlier we used selectors, now we are going to use advanced selectors. So here, the thing, so when we are using the pseudo elements, that means advanced selectors, this is the notation. You need to give the selector. So that means if it is a paragraph or a head or whatever thing. So here, then you need to give 2 colons and pseudo element. If it is a first line or a hover, specific line, likewise you can give pseudo elements. So go to internet and find some pseudo elements later and you will see those pseudo elements. So within that you can give the CSS statements for that. So here an example you can see we have a paragraph here, the paragraph. Here we have a break, that means this is the second line of the paragraph. This is the first line. Now we are going to add this style, that means the color red, to the first line of this paragraph. We are changing the color. We are adding a style for the first line. This is how you can give. We're specifying some kind of a thing within the element, right? A pseudo element is used to define a special statement of an element. As an example, style an element when you use mouses over it. That means mouse meet that element. Style visited and unvisited links differently. So likewise, we can use it. So as an example, you can say, you can give the pseudo class, like pseudo classes as well. So the hover is a class. Here earlier we used a pseudo element. Within the elements we can have sub elements. So those are pseudo elements. And here the pseudo classes. So the pseudo classes here you will find hover. So those kind of things are pseudo classes, right? So within the pseudo class also you can give like this. So when we are giving the pseudo class, you don't need to use double colon. You can use single colon. So here an example, mouse over link. if the mouse meet over going through with the link background color will change into red. All right. Okay, let's do that one. Do an example for this. Let's add a style in here. A over so background color into red. Save it and see. Here you will see once the anchor, that means the link means the background color will change into red, right? So likewise, you will find some pseudo classes or pseudo elements, right? So you can refer the internet and see what are the pseudo elements and the classes are for the HTML, CSS, right? Then here are some example. So here we have the header, two headers called this is a header and this is smaller heading, and this is a paragraph and it's another paragraph. And the thing is, here you can see we have to use internal styles. That means we are going to add color to header 1 and the paragraph, right? Here you can see for the header 1 and for 2 paragraphs, the color changed into red, but not to H2. That means header 2, because we didn't specify a style for that, right? Then example 2, here we have a header called this is heading, and we have a paragraph with an ID para 1 and another paragraph. Then here you can see we have added a style for para 1 into color red. So you can see here we have a heading, nothing changed. Then for the first paragraph, which included ID, the color is red. It changed the color because we specify the ID, right? Then you can see here we have one heading and 2 paragraphs, and here if we have used the test transform for the header 1 into uppercase, so you can see the upper class letters. Then for the paragraph, text transform into capitalize. Here you can see in each and every word, the first line is capital, right? That means capitalize, right? So that is the exercises. So you can refer internet and W3 schools and find what are the tags, what are the styles, what are the attributes, what are the properties and the values we can use to styles HTML pages, then what are the pseudo elements, what are the pseudo classes. Okay, so go through with that and practice these things. Thank you.